Welcome, my friends, to Caribou City, a small, friendly town with all the positive qualities of a larger metropolis. Why, this city has an award-winning sports team, cutting-edge technology and industry, a lively arts and culture scene, massive, soul-crushing debt, reliable public transport, everything that a modern citizen needs to live and work. So come on down to Caribou City. We're hiring city planners right now. Seriously, come on down. We'll hire literally anyone. Concrete Jungle is a game where you take on the role of a city planner who is responsible for placing the residential, commercial, and industrial buildings that will help your native Caribou City grow to become a thriving metropolis. Now, looking at it from the top down, you might be asking yourself, is this a management game? And, well, you'd be half right. You see, Concrete Jungle is both a management and a deck building game, where the cards in your deck represent the various buildings and residences that you can place on the map in order to score points and gain money. How you do this is by selecting cards from your hand and then playing them to the field. Most cards have one of three effects. If the card shows blue squares, then it will add points to the field. If a card shows red squares, it will take them away, even potentially going into negatives. Once you've added enough points to the field, you can then use a green card, which typically represents housing, to claim those points and add them to the column's total. During a standard game, each column needs a minimum number of points in order to be cleared, and once that minimum is met, the column is scored, removed from play, and the map scrolls up to provide you with more area to build. Now, the management aspects of the game are pretty self-explanatory. You want to place houses next to positive buildings like parks or restaurants and keep them away from negative buildings like factories or warehouses. Where the deck building aspect comes in is that over the course of a game you will be accumulating money as well as points, and once you have enough cash saved up, you can buy new cards to add to your deck. The new cards that you can buy typically have stronger effects than the ones that you start off with, but each card that you buy inflates your deck and makes it harder to get the one card that you might actually need. On top of that, more valuable cards have stronger abilities. That might mean more money, or more points, or discarding cards from your hand, or even creating combos and multipliers with buildings that are already on the field. There's a wide variety of cards to select from, and you can build different decks with different strategies depending upon the challenges that you might be facing. Now, while the single player of Concrete Jungle is a fun diversion, where things get interesting and where things get challenging is when the game switches over to Versus mode. In Versus mode, you and your opponent go head-to-head on the same map, competing for land and points. In this mode, each round you and your opponent take turns playing 3 buildings and then passing priority. And the result is that this creates an entirely new level of strategy. You're free to experiment and use a wider variety of cards, since now even negative cards can be used to tactical effect. On top of this, you'll also be able to select a character class, each one with its own skill tree that can be unlocked with purchase points. These skill trees help determine what kinds of cards, card types, and bonuses your character will be able to gain over the course of a match. Now, if solo mode can be seen as a fun diversion, and versus mode can be seen as a challenging contest, there's a further mode, Team Versus, which can be seen as a burning nightmare of torment from which there is no escape. In it, you and an AI-controlled ally go up against 2 computer opponents. And it's just the most frustrating experience you can imagine. I mean, not only do the matches take forever, as you have to wait for 3 computers to take their individual turns, but on top of that, there's no way to coordinate with your team member. At best, you can get some helpful serendipity out of him, and at worst, he will directly sabotage you. Now, granted, you do have the option of setting up a hot seat match if you can get some humans in the same room as you, but at that point you're basically playing a board game, so all bets are off. Still, Concrete Jungle does provide an interesting challenge. It combines management games and deck building without sacrificing the strategy of either one. I would give it 3 out of 4 stars, and my recommendation. I'd suggest picking it up if you're looking for a management game that has faster, more puzzle-based gameplay, or if you're looking for a deck builder that adds some tactical elements on top. Alright, thanks for listening. Godspeed to you out there.